Hello folks, thank you once again for joining me. So on this episode, I just want to demonstrate how you can use managed identity to establish communication between one Azure resource to another resource. So the first thing I want to do is to create managed identity. So go here and let's say I'm using the subscription there, and I can use this resource group. Then I'm going to call this one ID for say VM-to-DB. So the other thing I would like to add here, let me go next and see. Okay, we don't need another thing. So to create a managed identity, it's kind of very simple like that, right? So while that is done, the deployment is in progress, but so the next step, so I think is completed. So the next step is for me to go to, let me say, create a VM. So I will go back to my services, and I will look for virtual machine, and I will say create, and I will create a virtual machine. Use the same resource, use the same resource group, subscription on this resource group, and I will give it a name like VM-DB test. So I would like to take this I would like to make this in, let me use a location. Let me do a location like Canada Central. So Canada Central, and I will look at availability zone. I don't need to change anything apart from, let me change the operating system, and let me give it a username. That is VM-DB admin, and I will give it a password. I think I'm having some non-match there. Let me try again and give it a shot again. So it should match now. I want to leave that there. Let me go to disk. Here, I just want something that is very basic. So my disk will be maybe standard HTTP. And yeah, so what other thing do I need to set here? Let me go to networking, and everything look good. Okay, create a new network, virtual network. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, what do public IP? Let me see what I can do here. Okay, so go to management, and there is not much to do here. Then go to with Microsoft, maybe this enable system assigned managed. No, I don't want that. So that is one of the things we just have to look at it. Enable what? Okay, auto shut down if I forget to shut it down myself. And I'll go to monitoring, and I will disable this guy. Yes, and I will say advanced. There's nothing I want to do in advance. There's something I would like to check again in basics, and that is just want to check again. View Azure Hybrid, see your sizes, images, create a resource group, deploy to Azure next. Okay, so I'll go back to this, and so I will create that. So now I've created a managed identity, I've created virtual machine. So the next thing for me to do is to create a SQL server, the services. So SQL server. So I can create new SQL server here. Use the same resource group. I'll give it a name, secretDB VM clone. I can select the server here. Unavailable item. Yeah, the volume must not be empty, so I can create a new one. I can call it secret VM clone, and I can do Canada Central here. Microsoft Entra authentication method is a Microsoft Entra only. So then I can set an admin here. I think that is fine enough. Then I can say okay. So now that is done, I think everything look good. I can go to networking and say private endpoint, and I will say add a private endpoint. So here under extra, okay, I will do the endpoint. I can do SQL, sorry. VM, cron. I use that name too. Then we use virtual network. I can use this virtual network, and I can use this default value. I can do integrate with private. No, I don't need that. I can now say okay. So now with this, I am using. Okay, so while that is done, I can go to next. That is security. I think everything other security here is good. Okay. Then I can say additional settings. Just want to be sure everything is tight. Okay, and review and create. So let's look at how this pan out. If the check is properly done, then I can say okay, let's create. So while creation is going on, so with this now I've created a managed identity, I've created a VM, virtual machine, and I've created SQL database. So now let me go back to the VM I created, and let's see how we can include, or let me say configure this for that identity. So when I click on this VM, this is VM I created, I go to this, on this blade, I will see something like identity, and then I'll go to user assigned identity, and I will say add, and yes, so when I say add, then I will see all the identity that are here. So if you look at it here, we have ID for VM. So I have that. I will add that. Yeah. So that is how to add, an identity to a VM. Now that that is done, I'll go back to my SQL Server. I'll go to our services, our SQL DB. Let me see all my SQL DB here that was created. SQL is into resource manager, resource group. So what do I have here? So I have a database called SQL DB. That was the database I created. So now if you, under this place, you can go to identity again, and you can look for, this is the identity that I created, so add it as well. So when you add our identity to the SQL Server, then that is how you can see it's added now here. So that is how to make sure that you are able to create an identity and use that identity to configure Azure resources so that they can communicate with one another. So in this case, I create, the manager identity, and I use that manager identity to configure the VM server, and the same identity to configure the SQL server. And by doing that, what I've been able to establish is that I can manage the credentials they use to communicate, and that communication can go on seamlessly. And I can use the same identity even for more, maybe VM to other resources communication, as the case might be. Thank you.